good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, watu wote wadau wapenzi wa hii kipindi, karibuni sana kwa hii show. I'm your host Jakes, the moderator, and this is another awesome edition just about to happen now. Karibu sana, karibu tu sana. Wakenya wazalendo, karibuni kwa hii show. You are just but an amazing people. Asante sana. Despite all this, we are a resilient nation, all right? And I'm sure tutatoboa. I'm about to have an awesome conversation with you, ladies and gentlemen. Lakini zaidi ya yote nijuze, unatutazama ukiwa wapi? Hii show inakupata ukiwa maeneo gani? Watu wa Mombasani karibuni, watu wa Isiolo karibuni, watu wa Nairobi County karibuni, watu wa Nakuru City karibuni, watu wa LD the next city karibuni, watu wa Kisumu Pacho karibuni tu sana, watu wote ambao wanatutazama karibuni sana kwa hii show. Nijuze unatazama ukiwa wapi, like hii video hapo kwa Facebook and as well also like hii video kwa YouTube, alright? Equally subscribe to Afric 24, wacha iwe show station yako ama channel yako moja fiti ambayo unafuatilia hapo kwa mtandao. Alright, so subscribe to Afric 24 na karibu sana kwa hii show. Namuona Ambrose Silele, kaka brother, umepotea sana, ningefurahi sana kukuona kwa show. Unasema umerudi Jakes, I will join you soon. Asante sana, tafurahi sana kukuona bwana Siele, asante sana. Namuona Peter Musiemi ako ndani unasema uongozi wa Zakayo ni kero. Alright. Aha, wacha tuwe na maoni yako hapo kwa comment section, lakini zaidi ya yote like hii video hapo kwa Facebook, like hii video hapo kwa YouTube, kama jinsi ambavyo Peter Msemi like hii video hapo kwa Facebook, like hii video hapo kwa YouTube. Follow us on Afric 24, wacha hii ikawa channel yako moja fiti kali ambayo unaifuatilia kila siku. Thank you very much. I'm your host, Jakes, the moderator, and this is Afric 24. Let us do this as we normally do it. All right. I see Dan Kimboya Kondani anasema President Worship Team, yani Azimio Coalition, wanaendelea kumsifu Uhuru na baba yao sasa. There is no hope. Kenya will be changed. Maoni yake Dan Kemboi, maoni yako ni yapi? Nijuze hapo kwa comment section. Lakini yote karibu sana kwa hii show. Welcome very much. Tune into this great conversation we are about to have just about now. Nijuze unatazama ukiwa wapi, like hii video ili iweze kuwafikia wengi tu sana. Alright, ikikupendeza like, alright, ikikupendeza follow, ikikupendeza subscribe to Afric 24. Let us know where you are watching me from. Watu wa USA habari zenyu, watu wa Canada mko vipi, watu wa Australia mko aje, watu wa United States Arab hizo karibuni sana wasee wa Saudi Arabia, wasee wa Abu Dhabi, wasee wa Lebanon, karibuni tu sana wasee wa Dubai mko karibuni tu kwa hii show. Let me know where you are watching me from. Nijuze hapo kwa comment section. Subscribe to Afric 24. I have a great show lined up for you, ladies and gentlemen. Hapo kwa comment section tuma ujumbe, hapo kwa like button click your button, kama jinsi ambavyo Kawera Kezia amefanya. Kirwira sawa, majina yenyu sometimes inakuanga wacha tu. Alright, but Kezia ni rahisi. Asante sana. Good year vipi? How are you? Welcome so much to this show. Where are you at this moment? Hii inakupata ukiwa wapi? Nijuze kwa comment section dakika tu hizo 2-3 nakupa ya kunijuza uko wapi na kujua unaendelea vipi. Alright, I have a great show lined up for you, ladies and gentlemen. This one is a show you don't want to miss. This is a show you want to stick around to the very end. I have great content for you today. I have enough panelists to wow you tonight. Alright, this is a show that will make you really informed, and of course is a show that I want to hear your feedback, your comments, and above all your participation. All right, karibu sana kwa hii show. Asante sana. Thank you very much, Kenyans, for making us number one. Thank you very much, Kenyans, for always tuning in to this great debate ambayo inaanza hii masaa ya saa 4. All right, Okay, thank you very much. Naona comments zenyu zinaingia kwa jinsi ya ajabu. Naona likes zinaingia kwa jinsi ya ajabu. I'll be reading them just now. But welcome, 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 welcome. All right, I have to make it a responsibility to welcome you everybody. All right, Kezia ananiambia anantazama akiwa USA, watching from USA this amazing show. All right, Mohamed anasema following akiwa yeye na 966 others. Asante sana Mohamed Sadiq, asante tu sana. I am seeing you. Thank you very very much. I see you following us. Equally, make it a gift to us by subscribing to Afrique 24. Afrique 24. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. Let the numbers grow with you because you are just but an amazing Kenyan. All right. So kimbia hapo YouTube, subscribe to Afrique 24, and as well, let us make you enjoy all our content happening there at Afrique 24. Ninayo show fiti. Alright, ninayo show kali, show nzuri ambayo inaanza sasa hivi. Ni saa hizi tu inaanza, na hii show ni show yako. John Oguna, asante sana kwa kulike hii video. Asante sana. Cosmas Oroka, asante sana kwa kulike hii video. Namuona Wangai NK, asante sana kwa kulike hii video. Peter Musiemi, asante sana kwa kulike hii video. Good day, how are you? Unasema hashtag Afrique24. All right, that is the hashtag to use. That is what is trending now, and let us make this number one. All right, let us make this number one. Where do I begin? Where? How do you explain that everything that William Ruto has tried to do either has failed or has been stopped by the courts, either has caused Kenyans more pain, more drama, and more challenges than any other president that ever came before him? He is a man, of course, who has done it all. He has kind of touched all sectors all under 1 year. There is no sector he has not tried to touch. There is no department he hasn't tried to touch. Well, and all these departments, some are causing Kenyans serious pain and serious headaches. I'll be telling you why and why some people out there already are taking him to court for so many reasons. Wow. We are looking today at the education. We are looking today at health. We are looking at the economy. All right. So this is a show that will be broad based. So you really want to stick around and watch this show. I'll be playing you the very latest in as far as what is happening to our country. All right. This is a president that many say alingia na njia ya maombi. All right. Many say that it took God to have him in power. That's what many say, or rather those who elected him. In fact, the song that was then, it was si uchawi ni maombi. Lakini sasa vituko na mbwembwe ambazo zimekuwa zikihappen, I think we seriously now need to have prayers to continue really having this government if it will succeed in anything. All right. Yeah, I'm a strong believer of prayer. And I think it's now high time we begin to pray because, well, it's not getting easier anytime soon. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I'm bringing you up to speed with what is happening, let me know what this where this show is finding you. I see Purity Wanjiru anasema hi, hello, how are you Purity? Karibu sana Purity kwa hii show. Equally, I'll be telling you how to join this show in just about now, so just stick around. But first, let's make sense of what is happening now. From yesterday, or rather the day before yesterday, kids walianza kuingia shule. All right, wanafunzi from high school to primary school, some in colleges and TVETs, began going back to school. And many parents are complaining that number one, fees zimeongezeka in most of these schools. The money they used to pay, the school fees they used to pay, that has gone up. All right. Same to this same also, this happened this week. The results were released. Form 4 results were released. Where and there are kids who really are complaining that this is not their results. So we'll be looking at some of those clips, some of those students complaining that, you know what, tulipewa grade ya D, tulipewa grade ya E, and that's not our performance. You remember just few weeks ago, when the KCPE was released, we had almost similar complaints, almost similar challenges affecting KCPE. Now this is KCSE, and we have a whole school saying, "Oh, you know what? The best student got this." And it's not even a good grade for that best student, and every other person scored very dismally. Yeah, so it is something interesting to watch. Our education system is now becoming serious. All right, CBC is a challenge. Education is a challenge. All right. People are getting results that are not theirs, and those who are getting the results that are termed to be theirs, others feel as though they were cheated. All right. So education imekuwa another challenge. Machogu, we really need you to up your game, because education, as many would tell us those days, and I think even today, that it is the key. But sasa siku hizi hii key ni kama imeanza kuspoil. Inafungua funny doors, inafungua ina destroy some dreams. I'll be telling you of the number of students who scored an E, and the many who won't make it to our universities. What happens to them? Of course, some will tell you that education is not everything. There are people who have made it without education. But then again, Kenya has made it that you have to get a good grade for you to go anywhere. All right. So we will be looking at all that. Let's go to health. The health sector as well. There are some raft of changes that have happened. Kuko na NHIF ambayo imechange to SHIF, ambayo already iko in court na ishapewa a gag order. And of course, before the end of the month, we'll know the fate of that health issue. So health already is challenging. Saizi you are going to some hospitals, they are telling you hatuchukui NHIF, so inabidi urudi mfuko despite you having a valid card, having have paid up to date. Yeah. But unaenda hosi unaambia, you know what, NHIF kidogo haifanyi, because of course kuko na hizo gag orders. Someone was telling me the other day that pia ID ni kama zimeanza kukwama. Why? The maisha number that was to replace the current ID processes has been stopped. So hata kupata ID at the moment, I'm yet to really verify that, but that as well is happening, that kupata pia an ID, that also is not happening. I'm telling you, the shilling equally is falling terribly, in a fall compared to the dollar, in a fall. Kenya was ranked among the top countries ambao the shilling has fallen against the dollar. And all this has been happening under the watch of one Mr. William Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya. Okay, the economy is not really doing so well, dwindling every other day. Okay, then the parameters that people say that these are the indicators that an economy is doing well, they're not there, or rather, if they are there, they are so silent. Many of us can't pick up that voice of an economy doing well. Some are being unemployed. There are people going now to be retrenched from their works. So the number of unemployment will increase. So, what do you make of all this? So, we are about to look at all that and many more and try to make sense of all this. So, stick around. I'll be playing some clips here and there so as to explain all this. And as well, I'll be joined in by panelists who will help me discuss all this. All right. You as well can make part of the panelists. How do you join us in the studio? I'll be showing you just now. This is how you do it. Now, there is a link about to appear in the comment section. That link appears, and it sends you to a place known as StreamYard. StreamYard is a platform where it enables you to join me here live in studio. So what do? Through that link, you click it, unaguza to your link, inakupeleka moja kwa moja hadi StreamYard. StreamYard ukifika, unawasha mic, unawasha camera, lazima uandike pia jina. You have to have a name. It doesn't really have to be your real name, but of course, me, I'm using my name. Please put a name there. There are people who put interesting names. So put a name there. It has to be a name. Okay, and then click enter. Once you click enter, it will definitely bring you qua studio. So what have I said? Asha camera. Okay, andika jina, asha mic, alafu click enter. Kupitia hiyo link ambayo nimekutumia. Link ndo hiyo hapo kwa comment section. Namwona Eric Makowera anasema nitume link. Link ndio hiyo imejaja. Alright. Wacha tuanzie wapi? Tuanzie na vita za koti. Alright, let's start with that. Here we go.
Intensified his attacks on the judiciary, stating that no arm of government will be spared in the fight against corruption.
All right, sorry for that. I'll be having that play again, but sorry for that. I'll be having that play again. But the war on judges is not going anywhere. All right, this is a president who said what? Unajua niko na njora ni, or rather niko na panga nilipewa. Hii panga haikuwa ya kukata sukuma, haikuwa panga ya kukata mboga, ilikuwa ni panga ya kutumia kufyeka wakora. And over the last couple of days, I think from last week, there has been a strong campaign to fight the judiciary, or rather the war on judiciary has intensified. There is a serious exchange between him, the courts, some lawyers and litigants who go to court. Wale ambao wanaenda kotini, because the president has said some of the processes that happen in court are mad with corruption. Some of the challenges that we face in our judiciary are people who go to these courts, correct, but they have a way of either buying the judges, buying the court officials, and eventually our courts have become rogue. He described it as a process where many haven't received justice because either a judge has been compromised, the process either has been compromised, and so on and so on and so on. And of course, today online, I'll be showing you what surfaced is a tweet, or rather a post from a local media paper of that is in the 90s, where the president, who then was an assistant minister, had issues with some lawyers. And guess who was one of the lawyers that the president then had an issue with? It was none other than Martha Koome. All right, so it will be interesting to see what is happening with these two. But I think now my videos are ready. Allow me to have this one play first, and then I'll get you the others. But ladies and gentlemen, please consider subscribing to Afrique24. Let us keep this conversation going. Even after this show, many still follow, so the conversation never really stops here at Afrique24. So keep us growing, keep us being busy by commenting and participating at Afrique24. So consider subscribing at Afrique24, and let's make the conversation grow and going. All right, okay, so here Uja, all right, so show answer. Mako sema nako ready kujoin. Link ndio wera nimekutumia. All right, okay, so link ndo hiyo kiasi tu. Sorry, I'm having some funny challenge here at the studio, but now I think I'm good. All right, so here we go.
Of biasness by the executive. President Ruto has vowed to eliminate corruption in the judiciary, accusing corrupt judicial officers for delaying the transformation.
Nilisema usiwache ufisadi kule kwa mahakama zetu. Nani ajui hapa kuna ufisadi inaendelea mahakama?
The head of state saying he is taking the war on graft to all arms of government.
We are going to deal with vested interest that is sabotaging our progress, and we are going to eliminate corruption, whether it's the executive or in the legislature, so that we can get our country moving and our transformation underway. Hiyo ni kazi lazima tufanye.
President William Ruto vowing to deal with litigants frustrating government projects in court, labeling them as corrupt and accusing them of bribing lawyers and judges.
Nyinyi hamjui umaskini ni kitu gani? Mnaendesha gari kubwa, mnaenda kununua wakili, mnaenda kuhongana kotini kusimamisha hii mradi. Na niko tayari tena namba ya pili kupigana na wafisadi na wakora na matapeli. Hawa watu wote ambao wamezoea kwenda kotini, zuia hii, enda kotini, zuia hii, na wanazuia kwa mambo ya ubinafsi.
But the Judicial Service Commission Vice Chairperson, Macharia Njeru, is asking those with allegations of rogue and corrupt judicial officers to follow due process of reporting the claims through the JSC.
We've done that before. It is not the first time, it is not the last time, and we'll continue doing that. But when we are doing it, we must ensure that we don't undermine the institution.
In his day-long tour of Laikipia, the head of state laid the foundation stone for the 200-unit Nanyuki affordable housing project, launched the tarmacking of the Lamuria Solio Kihara Primary School roads, and inaugurated the upgraded New Kenya Cooperative Primaries Nyahururu.
Wakenya walichagua serikali ambaye haiko conflicted kwa mambo ya maziwa. Mambo ya state capture ndio ilikuwa imeumiza hawa wakulima ya maziwa for the last 10 years.
Seth Olale, Citizen TV.
All right, so that is happening. What is happening now? The president has maintained the fight against the judges. There are things he has said there kwa hiyo clip. Number one, he has said that hakuna mtu ajui Kenya that courts watu wako corrupt. Hakuna mtu ajui Kenya kwamba kuna wafisadi. All right. Maybe kuna wale wanajua, kuna wale hawajui, lakini sisi huwa tunaenda kotini kutafuta nini? Haki. Huwa tunaenda kotini kutafuta nini? Ya kwamba kuwe na justice when we go to the courts. Every litigant who goes to court, he goes to court to seek justice. We don't go to court to seek anyone to be corrupt, or rather to work against us. We go to court for that we may get justice. All right. So every time people go to court, they don't anticipate to find a corrupt judge. Every time people go to court, they don't anticipate to get a corrupt magistrate. But it happens. All right. And the president is complaining. The president is saying that there are so many projects. Of course, there is some degree of truth in it, that there are so many projects ambazo zimestall, zimepause, zimekuwa stopper na parliament na koti. All right, zimepita kwa parliament. Of course, the parliament has done its legislative duties. Wame debate, wamefanya public participation, wameenda kwa bunge, wamepitisha, na within an hour or so imepita, and now the president ameweka sahihi, imekuwa sheria. Now tunaanza kuimplement. Wakati tu ishapita kwa president ndio sasa inaenda kotini. Wadau wakifika kotini, ndio story kama ile ya health bill zilipita. We saw the president signing 4 bills into law. All right, and then after the president has done all that, someone goes to court, and when they go to court, the courts are good or bad depending from what angle you look at, and they say, hey, pause, you cannot implement that, you cannot fund that, you cannot deduct money for that, you can, all those gag issues or gag actions that happens in our courts. All right, so the president is saying what? The president is saying, I will stop you. I don't know what powers he has, because the best he can do, he can work through the JSC. I don't know how much power he has, because this constitution really protects so many things and so many institutions. The judiciary is a protected institution in our constitution. So as much as the president would want, there's so much he can do. All right. Of course, maybe he can, through the Attorney General, give his evidence to the JSC and say, Justice Flani wa Flani si mpoa, ni corrupt. Official Flani wa Flani ako hivi na hivi, and of course an inquiry will begin. Of course, a tribunal will be formed and a judge will be investigated, and of course if merit to the case are found, atakuwa impeached, just like what happened to Justice Shitembwe. You remember what happened to him after Sonko gave that he leaked a video of him receiving some dealings. Remember these guys? I think they're related somehow. And fun enough, Sonko helped bring him down after he was brought down by this judge. All right. So the president is saying uko kotini kuna watu wengi ambao wanafanya mambo visivyo. So he has said he will deal with them. Now, this began earlier. You remember he complained about those who go to court. One of the guys who go to court is Okiya Omtata. Okiya Omtata is a man many have praised to be the man who has helped Kenya fight or stop many projects, programs, and policies and laws that have been passed by this government that many would say are anti-people or anti the Kenyan public. So they have had some praise for Okiya Omtata, but the president has not had it in any way. In fact, he's saying hawa jamaa ni wakora, hawa jamaa kazi yao ni kunipeleka kotini, kazi yao ni kusimamisha miradi, projects na programs za serikali, you know. But of course there are other questions we can ask. Where were these allegations when BBI failed and he praised the judges? Where were all these allegations when the Supreme Court upheld his victory in the 2022 elections? Where were all these charges? Where were all these claims? Does the court become rogue when you lose a case? Does the court become rogue when it doesn't rule in your favor? Uhuru Kenyatta equally had so many court cases that went against him, or rather were ruled against him, as much as he equally complained, as much as we had the revisiting question, because I think every human being hapendi kushindwa, every human being hapendi kulose, all right? And when every plan you have are stopped by an institution, you tend to feel aggrieved. So, but why classify that everyone is rogue, everyone is, corrupt? Why cluster everyone as though they are the reasons why you're not performing? So those are the things we'll be looking at. So the president has gone to court to try to defend himself, but equally he's doing things that have already been stopped by the courts. He has continued to build these houses. Of course, the courts didn't really stop the building, they stopped the levy. All right. So the houses zinaendelea kujengwa, levy bado inachukuliwa. Hii month ilikatwa kwa mshahara, kwa wale kamshande kako, we saw what happened kwa payslip. Then again kuna hizi stories zingine that Parliament wameendelea na public participation despite the courts telling them to stop all public participation in as far as the housing levy is concerned. So your stories of housing levy zimepause, zinafaa zipause, or rather public participation for the same inafaa pause. But now I think Parliament pia has borrowed a cue from the president. Wameamua ku overlook that, and now I think in around 12 counties public participation is going on. All right, I'm sure very soon when Parliament comes from its recess, that is the first thing on the agenda, and it will be interesting to see what happens about that. So the president might, I'm not saying he will, but we might be looking at a president who might begin to disobey court order. So that will be happening, and we'll be keeping tabs here about that here at Afrique 24. All right. So that's one of the stories we'll be looking at. We'll be looking at education. Education now imekuwa interesting. Acha hata na CBC, pause stories za CBC. Now look at the KCSE. So many students walifail. So many walifail to the level that some today had a protest. Wanasema, hey manze, hey, shule mzima itakuwaje sisi wote tumescore D? Shule mzima shule mzima itakuwaje sisi wote hakuna mtu amepita kati yetu? In fact, they are saying in their history in the school, they have never failed as they have failed in this exam, or rather in their last exam, the determining one actually for that matter. So wana complain, unajua hapana, vitu kama kem hatukufaa kuanguka. CRE nani wanaanguka CRE? History manze, ni aje tulianguka histo. So these are some of the students who failed, but equally there's a huge number of them equally who failed to meet the cut point ya kujoin university. There are many who missed out the cut point to join university. Now, the students I'm talking about are from Oroba Secondary School, who say, you know what, hii results tulipewa, hii si matokeo yetu, hii si matokeo ambayo tulikusudia. This is not what we had in our hearts. This is not what we prepared for. We have been in school for 4 years. We worked very hard. We really sweat, tears and blood to perform well. But unfortunately, zile matokeo tulipewa, hiyo sio matokeo. And as go on.
It was hardly the case for two schools that received shocking results. Listen to this. In Migori County, 75 candidates from Oruba Boys School disputed the grades they were awarded after a majority of the class received a D grade. Now, a similar situation was reported in Marsabit County at Dibayu High School, where all 65 KCSE candidates scored a D. Let's get more from our very own Victoria Rubetiu.
Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education exam candidates from Oruba Boys School in Migori County marched to the Ministry of Education offices today, protesting their results for the 2023 KCSE examination. According to the students, a majority of the 75 candidates who sat the exams scored a D.
Only 2 has managed to get C minus. The rest of the class, we are all ranking on D plus, D minus, D plain, and the rest in E. Now, the only thing that we are requesting also, if we can see the script that is showing that this is our real result, that is the moment that we are going to believe that this is our result.
They say the results are a far cry from their intended performance targets.
So like me, I've been getting more above B, but now I have a D+.
We didn't expect such a result. But for now, even our parents have been shocked. We don't know what to say to them.
The candidates are now calling for a thorough review of the results or a remarking process. An official at the school told Citizen TV that they would engage the management board on the way forward. Meanwhile, in Marsabit County, all 65 candidates of Dibayu High School scored a D in the 2023 KCSE results, with the top student earning a D+. The students, like their Migori counterparts, want the Kenya National Examination Council, or NEC, to remark their papers, alleging unfair marking. Just last year, in November, similar discrepancies surfaced after the Kenya Certificate for Primary Education, or KCPE, results were released. Some candidates received the wrong marks or were assigned grades for subjects they did not sit in some instances. In others, candidates received identical numerical marks, but with differing letter grades. At the time, NEC CEO Dr. David Njengere, in response, said candidates had a 30-day window to question the system and address any issues with the examination body through the Sub-County Director of Education. Victoria Rubadiri, Citizen TV.
All right.
Hi, I'm Dr. David Costa,
So
the
that
Dean here
happened
at
as
Robert
well.
Kennedy College in
All right. Sorry for that. So imagine this. Ya KCP ilikuwa moto. You remember how it was? I think we covered here of how students got results that were marred with so much allegations of not being correct or accurate. Unakuta a whole school inapewa the same grade for one particular subject, and we thought because of hizo challenges walikuwa nazo kwa KCPE wata improve kwa KCSE. In fact, waka take time, ilikuwa itoke before the end of year last year, but wakaipush to hii mwaka. All right, and ikatoka on Monday. Unfortunately, bado kuko na issues. You have heard that you have heard. Hey, I think hata mimi ningefanya hiyo exam, ningefanywa ile kitu. You have heard of a school. The boys are seriously complaining. Ati unajua aje, hii chuo tumefail sisi wote. All of us have failed. None of us has attained the marks that will help us join campus, or maybe the best they can achieve is to join a TVET school. All right. So what do you make of it? It is a system, or rather education now is becoming interesting, that our children, when they go to school, despite the schools having increased school fees and all, they're not doing well. Shida iko wapi? Sijui. Ni walimu? Someone asked that in the morning. Is it that we don't have enough teachers? Is it that we don't have enough classes? Is it that we don't have enough facilities in our school? Why are kids not doing so well? These are conversations we need to have, because, ladies and gentlemen, how is it that out of several millions, or rather, I think 1-point-something million that did the exam, close to half won't make it to campus? What explains that? What explains that? Listen to this.
Are, however, encouraging the candidates not to give up, but explore other alternative paths to success. Now, here's the question. What's in a grade, one may ask? Well, for the more than 690,000 candidates who failed to attain the university entry grade of C+ and above in the 2023 KCSE, that could mean a lot. Whereas many could be staring at a bleak future, education stakeholders are, however, encouraging the candidates not to give up, but explore other alternative paths to success, such as enrolling to technical, vocational, educational, and training. Now, our very own Benkiri spoke to a number of TVET students pursuing courses such as plumbing, automotive engineering, graft, electrical installation, among others. Take a listen.
Ningependa kuwa nurse. Nilikuwa natia bidii sana. I want to become a nurse from Nairobi University.
I would like to join University of Nairobi and pursue a bachelor degrees in medicine.
When the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education results were released on Monday by Education CS Ezekiel Machogu, celebrations erupted in different parts of the country. Candidates who posted stellar performances could not hide their joy, sharing their ambitions with the world. Yet amidst the celebrations are thousands of candidates who failed to attain the university entry point of C+ and above, their hopes seemingly dashed. But education stakeholders, however, say all is not lost.
Don't discourage your child. Kama mtoto akopata C+ to A, muache afanye the TVET courses.
Technical, vocation, educational and training TVET courses have often been overlooked by candidates.
TVET ziko mbili, technical and vocational. Technical ni zile skills and knowledge zinawezesha mtu kufanya kazi kwa kampuni ama peke yake independently. Then vocational ni zile za hands-on skills. Hands-on skills nowadays are the way to go.
Undeterred by their grades, these students at the Kenya Christian Industrial Training Institute are among those who chose a different path to success.
Mimi awali nilikuwa nataka kupata B, niende university, nisomee masters in architecture. So ilikuwa very difficult, though the cut-out points ilinitoa, ikabidi tu nikubali.
Nilikuwa nataka kupata C+ and above, niende nikafanye medicine.
The students are pursuing courses ranging from motor vehicle electrical, craft, plumbing, electrical installation, cosmetology and beauty, among others.
The reason as why I chose this course, it's because after I did my Form 4, I did manage to get the better grade to take me to university. So I decided to move to technical courses. Because it's something that was in me, I decided to do the technical course that is with motor vehicle. I like tools, I like vehicles most.
According to the KCSE results of 2023, the number of candidates who attained the minimum university entry qualification grade of C+ and above was 201,133, translating to only 22.27%, while the number of candidates who attained a pass grade of D+ and above was 526,222, and 48,174 scored mean grade of E in the examination. Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu, while releasing KCSE results, directed the Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Services to embark on placement of students in TVET institutions ahead of the March 2024 admissions.
Whoever did not get the medicine grade, forget about it. Focus on your future. You still have a bright future and you can work on it. Never give up.
There you have it. Falling short of university entry point is just a detour, not the destination, as success can still be found on alternative paths. Ben.
So basically, the number of kids ambao hawakufikisha a C+ and above, if you add the 500,000 plus the 48,000 who scored an E, we are talking of something close to 600K, because it's 520 something plus 48, inakaribia around 600,000. Now 600,000 si watoto wawili. 600,000 ni watoto wengi sana. These are kids who we really need to ask ourselves what happens to them. Of course, it's not a must everyone join university. In any case, there are people who have begun uko chini, they have begun with certificates, did their diploma, went ahead and did a degree, they have done their masters, others have gone to even score, do their PhD. So really, it doesn't really matter what you score. But these numbers, the lower you score, it means the harder you'll have to work, the more you'll have to improve either on a skill or on something. But I don't know what you think about all this. So, but I'll invite you as well to help me understand all this, and we have a conversation about this even as I'm waiting for my panelists to join. I'm getting some texts that some wamekwama kwa majam, but they are almost joining the show. But the show must go on. I see David Kemboy anasema hivi, the praise and worship of Azimio Coalition. Anasema number 1, Moi was a failure, but the best president after retirement. Number 2, they said that Kibaki was a failure. I think I should project this. What Bwana Dan Kemboy anasema that from the praise team and worship of Azimio Coalition. Watu wa Azimio ndio hii yenyu sasa. Mnaambia ya kwamba Moi was a failure but the best president after retirement. Kibaki was a failure but the best president after retirement. Uhuru was a failure but the best president after retirement. Ruto is a failure in 2032 after his retirement. Utasikia. Okay. All right. Ruto was the best president. Time will tell. Hatujakaa sana after election period. Raila pia alisema kuna shida kotini, lakini saa hii anasifu judges. Wako wazuri, hata anaweza panga maandamano ya protest. We, Bwana Kemboi, hiyo imekuwa mrefu lakini interesting. Asante sana kwa maoni yako. Tuma maoni yako kama jinsi ambavyo Dan Kemboi amefanya. Penya Gaka, I see you. Asante sana kwa ujumbe wako. Ani, asante sana. I see maoni yako. Namuona Goodia ako ndani. Namuona Eric ako ndani. Asante sana kwa ujumbe wako. Naona pia ulituma ujumbe mwingine hapo awali. Asante sana Bwana Eric. Dan pia ulikuwa umetuma ujumbe ukasema, so kama hiyo sio results zao unalaumu Ruto. Dan unani nice. Laumu mwenye alifanya exam. CBC was started by the man you always praise, Uhuru. Maoni yake Dan Kemboi. Dan Kemboi is a serious advocate. All right. Good year. I see you. Penyagaka, Mohammed, Sadika, I see you. Purity, I see you. Cosmas, Aroka, I see you. Na wengi ambao pia mna like hii video, asante sana. I see Ting Ting Kanambo, I see you. Asante kwa kulike hii video. Niki Mboga, asante sana. Kajose Jos, asante. Esi Barmoiben, asante sana. Sami Fire, I see you. Thank you very much. Cornelius Wambua, asante sana. Namuona Ivan Dan ako ndani. Asante kwa kulike hii video. Thank you all of you who are liking this video. Now let's now go to we have done with the courts. We have done the fight between Ruto and the courts. Now let's go to health. Or can I go first to CDF to polish kwa education kabisa? Now, as much as walianguka exam, CDF ambao wengi wasemanga wanatumia kulipia watoto fee, your politician imechelewa. And before I even say anything, let's listen in to what stories of CDF
schools. Now, however, school heads, on the other hand, are claiming, or rather blaming the government for late disbursement of school capitation, which has contributed greatly to the current mess some schools find themselves in. We get more from our very own Martin Munene.
Public schools are finding themselves in trouble with suppliers and service providers as the school funding problem persists. Some of the schools are now finding themselves on the corridors of justice as businessmen go to court seeking redress over pending school bills. The Nyeri Law Courts, the Small Claims Court, has registered 8 cases since September 1st, 2023, where schools have been sued for failing to meet their end of the bargain. A case in point, Kemblest Foods Limited moved to court and sued the Board of Management of Watuka High School in September 2023. In their claim, they wanted the school to pay close to 600,000 shillings for the supply of bread at the institution. The matter was settled with direction to the school to settle the amount they owe in installments. On 21st September 2023, Jawaka Food Stores sued the Board of Management of Kagonye Secondary School over a 1.7 million shillings debt for the supply of foodstuff, which was done in 2022. Consent was agreed that payment be done in installment, with the final installment of 250,000 to be paid on or before 30th June next year. The cases also touch on construction. For example, on 13th October 2023, the Narumoru Girls Secondary School Board of Management was sued by Betch Construction Limited for a sum of 800,000. The court, however, directed that since there was another matter involving the parties, the cases be consolidated. The latest case to make it to the Small Claims Court in Nyeri was 2 days ago, where the Board of Management at Iriaine Girls is being sued by Muigakei Hardware. In the case registered on 8th January 2024, the school is said to owe the supplier a sum of 300,000 shillings for the supply of various hardware products supplied in 2020 and 2021. The matter is coming for mention on 22nd January 2024 before Resident Magistrate Evelyn Gaiduma. However, some have gone to higher courts. A case in point, on the 25th October 2023, Blue Valley Enterprises sued the Komodhai Girls Technical School BOM for a sum of 3.7 million. According to court documents, the company had been contracted to develop a dormitory block, and an agreement entered on the 28th December 2020. The company claims that the school has failed to pay, and any outstanding amount as per the agreement would attract an interest rate of 2% for every month that the sum would remain due and owing until payment in full. On the flip side, however, the school heads can do little to change the fate of learning institutions. According to the Kenya Secondaries Heads Association Chair, Kahi Indemuli, while speaking on Citizen TV on Tuesday night, schools are on the spot due to delays in capitation disbursement.
We have entirely relied on the goodwill of our suppliers, and I really want to salute them. Because when the funds delay, we've always told them that when the funds come, we'll be able to sort you out. And a majority of suppliers in schools have been very, very committed to to ensuring that the schools are running. Reason being, most of them are local suppliers, so they also look at those schools as their schools. We have colleagues, and this nobody believes, who have gone ahead and even taken personal loans to run these schools, especially in sub-county.
Some schools have had to charge parents more to cater for the deficit, a thing that has left parents also lamenting.
Kuna fee ingine imeongezewa zaidi ile tulikuwa tunalipa. Na vile tumepata kuuliza walimu mkuu nini kunaendelea, akatuambia hiyo itakuwa inaketa mimi nashughulikia mambo ya chakula. Sababu maana yake wanasema serikali haijapeana senti zenye inafaa kuwa ina release the mother ministry.
As learners resume for the 2024 academic calendar, schools find themselves between a rock and a hard place, having to find a way to balance between paying debts to suppliers and also making sure that the schools remain open as they wait for government's capitation to reach them. Martin Monene, Citizen.
Sorry, capitation ndio hiyo imechelewa. Capitation ndio inapewa kila mwanafunzi ambaye ako either primary school ama high school, at least kusaidia the burden of a school fees for any child, so that you remember we have a 100% transition for high school. So one of the things that the government did back then is to create capitation for children, so that at least to make school fees affordable, so mwanafunzi akapewa capitation. Sasa capitation ndio imechelewa. So what have the headmasters resorted to do? Wame increase school fees because if you don't have the capitation, how do you fund the school? How do you buy books? How do you pay bills? How do you buy food? So eventually, what are these teachers and head teachers have been forced to do? They have been forced to increase school fees. So already mzazi amepewa an increment kwa fee kwa sababu ya hiyo delayed capitation. The president promised Machogu equally said that capitation itakuwa released before the end of last year. All right, schools have opened, that haven't happened. Now, another thing that was promised to Mwananchi, or rather through their MPs, was the CDF. Now, before the CDF, allow me to play you what is happening to some of these parents who are complaining that CDF imechelewa and they're supposed to do something about their students in as far as taking them to school.
As schools reopened, thousands of learners from poor families who rely on bursaries remain stranded following delays in the release of CDF funds by the Treasury. Now, hundreds of parents and learners jammed CDF offices to seek assistance, with those who proceeded to report to schools fearing to be returned home for lack of fees. Let's get more from our very own Laura Tina.
8 a.m. at the Kisumu Central CDF office. Hundreds of parents flocked to the compound with frustration written all over their faces. 54-year-old Maurice Ooko struggles to fight back tears as he clutches to his son's Form 1 admission letter. For the last 2 months, the father of 4 has managed to only raise a paltry amount to support upkeep for his eldest son. He was hoping to secure bursary to support his other children. However, the revelation that the NG CDF is yet to hit accounts and constituencies has dashed his hopes.
Iko na watoto ine. Moja iko kwa Youth Polytechnic. Moja iko inaingia kwa Ringa Secondary School. Wawili iko kwa Form 4 inaingia kwa Form 4 na nakosa pesa. Naomba serikali saidia sisi.
Juzi kama mtoto nafukuza kwa shule au naandikia watoto barua. Walimu pia wanafukuza tu watoto. Watoto pia wanarudi kwa mlango. Hakuna kitu naweza fanya na watoto. Maisha pia imetulemea kwa ukweli. Tunasikia uchungu. Saidia sisi mheshimiwa.
At Ugunja CDF offices in Siaya County, more parents stand up with the hope of securing funds to take their children to school. However, they were met by empty coffers.
President wetu pia juzi tuliona ukiongea
ukasema ya kwamba uta release pesa, na kufika huku tunapata ya kwamba pesa hakuna. Sasa hatujui kama ni maongeo tu ama ni kazi ambayo inafanywa.
A section of MPs from Bungoma County now want President William Ruto to crack the whip for what they said were deliberate acts of sabotage against the government. The legislators accusing Professor Njuguna Ndung'u of ignoring the president's directive issued in December to oversee the disbursement of the NG-CDF before schools reopen.
His Excellency, we respect you and we will support you, but allow us to deal with these rogue ministers, with these ministers who are not taking your directive, who are incompetent and not really doing what is supposed to be done to ensure that this government delivers on its agenda.
The law sets aside 2.5% of the total revenue raised nationally to be shared out among the 290 constituencies, where 40% of the funds are to be ring-fenced for bursaries in accordance to the new Constituency Development Act. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
All right. So that is happening. What at times when an touch is when you see that lady crying, that lady in that clip is asking, almost equally begging for assistance. Now imagine this, shule haina capitation, CDF ndio hiyo imechelewa. Well, but the president is all over building houses. The president is all over building houses. I think, I don't know. Some may argue at least itasaidia wale wanafanya huko kazi wapate pesa, sasa watalipa fee. Others may argue that way. But equally, what happens to a parent? Imagine that pinch. Your child, fee imeongezwa. Let's start there. Fees imeongezwa. 2, CDF hakuna. Mwalimu mkuu anadai hana capitation. You as a parent, what do? You have worked hard, you have toiled, you have really done all your best, because no parent wants to see their child suffer. All right? But now, here is a state you find yourself in. The government blatantly refuses to release both capitation and CDF for bursaries. So what happens to our students? And then when they fail, Jakes here will be asking us, why do we have so many who have scored E's? Ladies and gentlemen, we really must have a conversation as a country. Think about it. This is a situation where a child ought to go to school. A child ought to get, actually it's a right. It's in the Bill of Rights to be educated. It is in the Bill of Rights, and not just education, quality for that matter. But now capitation ndio hiyo imewekwa pause. CDF ndio hiyo imewekwa pause. What should we do, really? What should we do? Because some of these things, I'm not saying they have begun with the Ruto, but zimezidi sana na Ruto. Yet taxes tunalipa vizuri sana. Who is not managing our currency or our affairs correctly? Is it the Minister of Finance? We need to know. Is it the Minister of Education? We need to know, because shule zimefungwa for several weeks. All right, so they knew very well that shule zitafunguliwa. Baada ya kufunguliwa, they knew that students wapya watareport, those joining new classes watareport. Of course, it's obvious, fee will be needed, capitation will be needed. I think it's high time we are told either to do away with capitation, ndio mzazi apewe the exact amount that anafaa alipe, ndio ung'ang'ani na hali yako kabisa. I think pay it's high time tuambiwe CDF has been abolished, ndio mzazi ajue aache kutegemea a bursary from somewhere. Sasa kama atajituma kabisa, I don't know. All right, because it's almost sad. Actually, it is sad. It has passed being sad that a mother will cry And us as viewers have almost no way of helping her because she's just one among many. We can't reach them all, but the government seems to be quiet about it. These are parents who have dreams for their children, and that's why the show today is Shattered Dreams. These are parents who hope that tomorrow their children would become leaders, would become people of substance. But what is happening to them? We're destroying the foundations that are meant to build them up. Education. If this child won't go to school because of fee, what do you expect? Ataka home. So what happens with that? The vices now increase, teenage pregnancies, because these children will be idle. It increase. Crime, it increase. Of course, the haves will reduce, the have-nots will increase. It's almost obvious. Bad choices, bad governance create a bad nation. These are our children, ladies and gentlemen. These are our future. These are the youths, the fathers, the mothers of tomorrow. But the mothers of today are crying because they can't educate their sons and daughters. Why? Capitation imedelay. And I'm sure the one in charge ya kuhakikisha capitation imeflow, hata labda mtoto wake asomi system ya Kenya, anasoma the British system or any other system. Some maybe even are not in our country, you know. So it really doesn't bother them. It doesn't bother them, you know. They don't feel it as we do at times. They don't, right? Ati kuwe na school fees kusiwe, their children are not here. In any case, they have enough. They are settled for life. Capitation, wanafunzi hawana. Our MPs now, I want you to look at a clip I'm about to play. And don't just listen to the words. Look at how hopeless these leaders look in this video. Look at how they look so, how do I put it? They look so bad, you know, almost begging. They're almost kneeling down, asking for CDF. I don't know you feel when you see a politician begging another politician or another leader for aid. I don't know what you feel, that we are almost kneeling down to get services. We are almost kneeling down to get our resources back. All right, allow me to get it right, that video right, where I want you to see just now of our MPs, MPs complaining of CDF being delayed. It really made my day because I looked at them. Hata vile wamejivaa, it was so sad. It was so sad. Some are threatening to impeach the current CS for finance, saying that huyu CS amefail, huyu CS haperform, huyu CS is not what many thought to be a performer. Walisema ati ndio alikuwa na manage ile time ya Kibaki finances, no wonder wakampea. Kumbe, yeah, it wasn't the CS, or rather his role then, it was maybe the leader who helped the country perform back then. But hey, the jury is still out there. But let's listen in to what our MPs are saying, because our MPs are out there complaining. Why? Because CDF imechelewa. Listen in, even as I bring in now the panelists.
Allied to Azimio and Kenya Kwanza coalitions have threatened to draft a censure motion against Treasury Cabinet Secretary Njuguna Ndung'u, citing delayed disbursement of CDF funds. The MPs want the funds released within 7 days, pending their next course of action. The leaders maintain that students from their constituencies are facing a prospect of missing school due to lack of school fees, I beg your pardon, even after President William Ruto promised that the funds would be availed by the 20th of December last year. Sydney Chazima tells us more.
Treasury Cabinet Secretary Njuguna Ndung'u could be headed on a collision course with members of parliament MPs drawn from Kenya Kwanza and Azimio, in a rare show of solidarity, want the CS Treasury to disburse the CDF funds within 7 days, threatening consequences should this demand fail.
We demand that the entire allocation of CDF must be released within 7 days as is due. And if that is not done, we will call for a special sitting of the House. When we call for a special sitting, secondly, we will then draft appropriate motions against the CS Treasury.
The MPs have accused the national government of not taking keen interest in the CDF kitty.
Kwa nini tunaweza pata pesa iende kwa department zingine ili hali CDF ambaye inasaidia kila mwanafunzi? Shule hazina madarasa sasa hivi tukisema hivi. Wana rely kwa bunge kuchenga hizi. Up to now hajatuma hiyo pesa.
And it is not a matter of Azimio, it's not a matter of Kenya Kwanza. We are speaking as elected MPs. We are telling the government we want the money in total, not in portions.
Towards the end of December last year, members of parliament walked out on National Assembly sessions in protest over the delay of disbursement of 53.3 billion shillings of CDF monies. National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula, in communication to the House, said the funds would be availed by 20th of December, sentiments that were echoed by President William Ruto.
I want to assure members that we will make sure that there are resources for our children to go to school. That is not negotiable.
We are telling government, nawaambia leo kwamba sisi hatutaki Kiswahili, hatutaki Kiingereza ya CS. Kwanza walifanya speaker wetu wa bunge akatudanganya kama katika bunge.
We are tired of people crowding our homes. We are tired of being added to WhatsApp groups. We are here as servants of the people. And when our people are suffering, we must speak. And because of that, we want to tell Treasury that we are not joking. And we are going to take them head on.
Narieda MP Otiende Amolo downplayed a government memo that stated that the NGCDF funds could not be released due to proposed amendments to the NGCDF Act.
Even if that argument was to be believed, those amendments only affect sports and the Constituency Oversight Committee, which is just about 6% or so of the overall allocation of CDF. If that was true, they'd have released the 94% of CDF.
Last year, President William Ruto signed into law the NGCDF Amendment Bill that would see an increase in the allocation of bursaries in the CDF kitty from 35% to 40%. Sydney Chazima, NTV.
All right. Now imagine, imagine how it feels that you are an MP, but uliambiwa ya kwamba before the end of the year CDF itakuwa imeingia, wazazi wakapewa hopes, and you are an MP who parents come to your door, knocking at your door every day, asking for money, not just money, right, direct money, but funds for their kids to go to school. Times are hard, so everyone is going anywhere they think they can get help. You go to your MP is equally lamenting. When you look at that video, these are MPs lamenting. They are almost garnishing their teeth because of the anger they feel. They lie, they feel they were lied to. Because a president says this, but what happens is the vice versa of what he said. Now, I think it's high time we now say, if you don't know what you're saying, don't say anything. If you don't know whether that fund will be ready by tomorrow, don't just say it. You know, why give hope? It is as much as we are suffering. It is so much that we are suffering. Please don't add to it by giving hopes. You know, when the president says next week kutakuwa na hizi pesa, when the CS for education says by the time wanafungua capitation itakuwa, and then it doesn't happen. I think it's not wise. It's not proper. It's not, because what you do, you increase hope for someone only to defy it, only to shatter it, only to kill some dreams, some desires, some aspirations. Hopelessness is the worst state any human being can be in. You can imagine that woman that I've just played a clip for. This is a lady who wants to send her kids to school. There's that mzee who equally spoke. He has not just one, but several kids, some in higher institutions. He's unable to do much. You know, he seems to be advanced slightly in age. He's unable to do much. He's relying on that fund. He has paid his taxes in ways that he could. He has done his part, because KRA have done their part. They have collected our taxes. There's no question about that. They have collected our taxes. They have. You have equally even borrowed, all right? And even if you'll say it is not our money, it's borrowed money, we shall still pay it. So it's still our money, all right? So before you come praise yourself on television, on rallies, on funerals of what the courts are not doing for you, what about what you're not doing for us, that the courts have not done anything against them? Like capitation. Tell us, has anyone gone to court because of capitation? Good question, right? Has anyone gone to court? I don't know. CDF, as much as it was declared unconstitutional, it has been running over the days. Why has the funds ought to have been released kesi baadaye, sio? Bwana CS, I think it's time you really tell Kenyans the true state, because one moment you say the economy is not doing well. The president was quick to tell you the economy is doing so well. So now, should we now believe you and now start saying truly the president didn't tell us the truth, that of course our country is not doing well? Because if we can't pay our debts, if we can't pay our bills, if we can't pay our workers, I'll be showing you of workers who are about to down their tools just now. What are we doing in a country? You know, what are we doing to our country? Mr. President, what are you doing? It's one thing to complain about the courts. It's correct to complain about them. If they are rogue officers, all right, I'm sure there are well laid out procedures on how to deal with them. But of course, there's what we call our daily livelihoods. There's what we call our daily dreams and aspirations. It's every parent's dream to send their children to school. And as if that is not enough, you know, Edu Afia has been abolished. It has been removed from our schools. I think that is a conversation we ought to ask ourselves. With the stoppage of SHIF, all right, the courts have declined to listen to that. Now I'm now discussing health, but of course linking it to education, because Edu Afia has been stopped. When our health system inaenda chini now, our education ndio hiyo ishaenda chini, hata there's no question about whether inaanguka ama haijaanguka. We saw CBC teachers wakigoma kwa sababu wanataka kuwa waandikwa permanently, waache kuwa intense, waache kuandikwa at almost casual level. CDF ndio iko na challenge. CBC ndio iko na challenge. So education already iko on its knee. Sasa tunaongelea health. Health ndio hiyo nayo as much as it is a devolved function, if CDF inachelewa, I'm sure the next people you'll see complaining very soon are the governors. Why? Pesa za counties zitaanza pia kuchelewa. Hence, madaktari pia wataanza kucheleweshwa pesa zao. So what do you expect? Our health system will be on its knees. Of course, walitoa NHIF, wakaleta SHIF, already kokotini, and this is what the courts are saying.
Government's bid to have the Court of Appeal set aside a High Court order blocking the implementation of the Social Health Insurance Fund ran into headwinds after a 3-judge bench declined to grant the prayer. Now the court instead setting aside the 19th of this month as the date they will deliver the judgment that will determine the fate of the Social Health Insurance Act 2023, which establishes the Social Health Insurance Fund, which is set to replace the National Hospital Insurance Fund, NHIF. The government, while pleading its case through senior counsel Fred Ngatia, said the High Court order had resulted in many Kenyans being denied medical care against the provisions of the Constitution. We get more from our very own Chemtai Gowin.
With the government keen on implementing its universal health coverage plan, which they say will provide quality and affordable health care to Kenyans, its bid has been marred by court injunctions that have stalled the implementation of two laws, the Social Health Insurance Act 2023 and the Digital Health Act, which establishes a fund that replaces NHIF.
Wale watu wenye mapato ya chini, kina mama mboga na hawa wengine, tutawapunguzia ile gharama ya NHIF kutoka 500 mpaka 300. Tayari tumepeleka sheria bunge. Bunge wamepitisha sheria 4. Tayari tumepitisha. Lakini kuna watu wengine ati wamepeleka hiyo mambo kotini. Ati wanataka huyu mwananchi wa chini aendelee kulipa 500.
And Wednesday, the government's push to have the Court of Appeal repeal orders suspending the implementation of the Social Health Insurance Fund was thwarted after a 3-judge bench hearing the appeal declined to grant the interim orders sought, instead pushing the determination to Friday next week. Senior counsel Fred Ngatia, representing Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakumicha, said the orders had disenfranchised many Kenyans who are now unable to access medical care since the enactment of the Social Health Insurance Act 2023 repealed the NHIF Act, imploring the court not to allow legal wars to deny Kenyans a constitutional right. The Attorney General, through his lawyer, also pleaded with the court, saying many patients were hurting and that while the court's decision was being waited upon, the existing orders be lifted. But Harrison Kinyanjui, representing the respondents, told the court not to grant the temporary relief since the aggrieved parties had not adduced evidence that a Kenyan had been denied access to healthcare. With Kenya Kwanza having protested the numerous injunctions that have since frustrated the implementation of various policies, President William Ruto, leading the pack of those hitting out at unnamed individuals, remained steadfast that he will not allow the judiciary to be used to scuttle his plans.
Na wale wameenda kotini ni watu wezi na wakora ambao wanaiba pesa kwa NHIF. Na mimi nawajua. Na mimi nimewaambia tayari, hii pesa hamutaiba tena. Whatever it takes. Nyinyi mnanielewa? Tumebadilisha sheria na tumehakikisha kwamba pesa ya umma itasimamiwa vizuri. Na ufisadi tutapigana nayo.
The government, in documents filed before court, indicated that 17 million Kenyans who rely on NHIF risked failing to get adequate health care if the High Court orders were upheld. Chemutai Goin, Citizen TV.
You know, unafika place kwanza una pause, kwanza digest what you have heard. Eh? Now that is as much as NHIF, now famously known that way. Now it's known as SHIF, social, and then hizo zingine zilibakishwa. The president, of course, signed it into law. It's 4 amendments were given, or rather were made, but now someone went to court. That one has been paused. You know, right now there are private hospitals and even some public. Ziko na challenge ukienda na kadi ya NHIF. Some are blatantly refusing. You know, saying, hey, no, hizi stories za NHIF kwanza pause. Now, imagine you are the person. One, already umesuffer kwa education, watoto wako ndo hao wako home. Yeah? God forbid you or any of them agonjeke. You go to hospital and you are told, hey, Buddha boss, kidogo itabidi ulipe cash. Kidogo itabidi ulipe cash kwa sababu as much as walikukata the 500, the 1800 ambao wanakata. Kidogo, we have a problem. We won't take that. What do you expect? Mkenya, what do you expect? It is your dream and desire to go and get enough or good hospitals to be treated and go back home. But now that is not happening. Yeah, that is not happening. We have counties like
Government's
Embu,
bid to have the Court of Appeal set aside a High Court order blocking the implementation of the Social Health Insurance Fund ran in.
Sorry for that. Kuko na mshki kidogo kwa studio. But what was I saying? That health ndio hiyo, education ndio hiyo, and what do you expect as a Kenyan? Your desire, your dream, this is zinakuwa shattered. And ladies and gentlemen, have I told you this, that there are some counties already wako ready to down their tools, Embu being one of them. Embu wako ready ku down their tools kwa sababu wanasema aje ya kwamba mshahara umechelewa, mgao wao wa pesa ambao wanalipwa mshahara wao umecheleweshwa na Embu County, and they are ready to down their tools. Of course kuna wale washa down their tools kwa sababu ya that lady mwenye alicause commotion. But I think she was arrested the other day. The lady who assaulted a health worker, she was arrested. So you can imagine, unaarestiwa na bado haujalipwa salaries. How would you feel? Haujalipwa na tayari unaambiwa, unajua ni aje, mtu anakuja na kuletea kizaazaa kwa job. You can imagine, you can really do something bad to these people. But anyway, we thank God that situation didn't escalate. But in Embu, this is what is happening. In Embu, they're about to down their tools. Why? Because
all of them, that they've been enlisted with the CRB, the Credit Reference Bureau. They can't take loans. You know, the picture that I've been painted about these doctors, especially in the renting sector now, is basically there are people who cannot service loans. So that definitely needs to stop forthwith as far as Embu County affairs are concerned. And there are these contracted doctors who forthwith they need to be converted into P&P. Some of them have been contracted for the last over 5 years. You know, so at the end of the day, what we are saying here is that they need to be converted into P&P forthwith. We've been cheated by Embu County government. We've been denied our rights as Embu County doctors. You know, we've been caught, basically, if I to use that word. And not forgetting that some of us are very hard working on the ground, by the way. That taking care of patients is basically our passion, but the employer has not met his or side of the bargain.
Today, we have met in Embu County with Embu doctors to launch the strike of all doctors of Embu County, and the strike shall commence tonight at 12 a.m. The reasons behind calling for this particular strike is that Embu doctors now have complained to the union that despite us giving a strike notice of 21 days concerning matters of promotion, concerning matters of non-payment of statutory deductions, concerning matters of conversion of doctors from inferior contractual agreements that have been put forward by Embu County government, none of these particular issues that Embu County government has been able to address. So starting tonight, we are closing all the hospitals, and we are warning and we are giving an advice to wananchi in Embu County that anyone who has got any patient admitted in Embu County, you have only 12 hours to discharge your patient and take them to other counties effective tonight. Otherwise, tomorrow you will just collect your patient as a body, because nobody shall be liable in this particular county on matters healthcare management. If our issues are not going to be addressed in the next 1 week or 2 weeks, we shall continue to be on strike to fight for our rights as Embu County doctors. Kuanzia leo usiku, sisi kama madaktari wa Embu County tutakuwa tumefunga hospitali zote Embu County na tutakuwa tumeanza mgomo wetu leo saa 6 ya usiku. Hii ni kwa sababu madaktari wamepitia mashida makubwa hapa Embu County, ambayo mashida moja ya hizo mashida ni ya kwamba madaktari wanachotwa mali yao ya nyumba, sababu Embu County miezi 6 ambayo imepita wanakata mishahara ya madaktari ya loan, na hiyo mishahara haijaweza kupelekwa, zile pesa hazijaweza kupelekwa katika mabenki, hazijaweza pia kupelekwa katika masako, hazijaweza pia kupelekwa kwa insurance premiums. This is bringing psychological stress. It is bringing mental illness upon our doctors in Embu County. Promotions za madaktari hapa county ya Embu tumekuwa sasa tumewapea kutoka wakati ya Wambora, 10 years imekwisha. Governor Cecily Mbarile amechukua ushukani hapa Embu County for the last 1 year, na hajaonyesha hali yoyote hata ya kushughulikia hata jambo hata moja. Kila siku ni promise after promise that ya kwamba tutafanya, kila wakati ni ya kwamba hakuna pesa ambayo inapatikana hapa Embu County ya kulipa madaktari. Sisi tunasema ya kwamba daktari amechoka. Huyu punda ambaye anaitwa daktari kwa sasa amechoka, na hii usiku wa leo huyo daktari ataangusha hii.
Wow, all right. Daktari amechoka. Daktari amechoka na anasema usiku wa leo saa 6, I think we are 27 minutes to that time, 27 minutes to them striking. Can imagine. Now ile hata inanisinya ni the statement amesema hapo mwanzo ya kwamba if you have a patient, be ready to pick. If you wouldn't by now have made arrangements to transfer them to other facilities, be ready to pick them as bodies. Of course, that one really, well, now as if that is not enough, imagine now broken equipment za facilities, equipment zenye hazifanyi, as if lacking the doctors is only the challenge you're having in our hospitals. Imagine now having ill equipments in our public hospitals. Wow.
Here and thousands of Kenyans across the counties cannot access essential medical services, including dialysis, radiography, and laboratory tests, as most equipment procured under the Medical Equipment Services have broken down. Most counties have begun referring patients to the Kenyatta National Hospital for the crucial services, as they lack referrals or even the passwords to operate the equipment. This after the national government failed to extend the service contract to the vendors who have been running the equipment for the last 7 years. Attempts by the Council of Governors to have the contracts extended have fallen on deaf ears, with the national government withdrawing a 6 billion shilling budgetary allocation from the supplementary budget, throwing the whole program into confusion. We get more from our very own Stephen Leto.
In the medical equipment service contract signed by the 47 counties in the beginning of the 7-year contract, upon the lapse of the period, there existed 3 exit clauses, which are either opt for an extension of the contract for a period of 3 years, or opt for a transfer of the equipment to the Ministry of Health, or decommissioning and disposal of the equipment by the contractor. Under the deal, the Ministry of Health was to undertake a survey of all equipment no later than 18 months before the expiry of the contract to establish their usability and net book value to determine whether or not to terminate or extend the contract. However, failure by the Ministry of Health to make a decision has thrown the scheme into confusion, with the vendors not clear on the way forward. In July 2023, the government engaged the vendors on temporary basis to help service the equipment at a fee, but the service was discontinued after the government failed to pay 3.4 billion shillings fee. Subsequently, the lack of servicing of the equipment in hospitals has left Kenyans in despair, missing critical services, mostly ICU services, renal and theatre services. Majority of the machines malfunctioning and are now under lock and key, with others lacking passwords to operate. This standoff was compounded during a summit meeting held in State House, Nairobi, chaired by President William Ruto in December 19th last year. President Ruto seeking the indulgence of the county bosses to terminate any further financial commitments to the medical scheme. This despite 15 months appeal by the county governors to have the scheme extended in line with the recommendation by a team appointed to review and advise the Ministry of Health on the best option. This was followed by the withdrawal of 6 billion shillings initially included in the supplementary budget to offset the servicing fee. A meeting called on Tuesday at the Kenya School of Government between a team of Council of Governors and the national government team led by Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakhumicha failed to broker a deal. The 7 governors Mudhomi Njuki of Tharaka Nithi, Ahmed Abdullahi of Wajir, Gladys Wanga of Homa Bay, Fernandez Barasa of Kakamega, Mutula Kilonzo Jr. of Makueni, Mutai Kaiga of Nyeri, and Stephen Sang of Nandi have been called again Thursday to join a team from the Ministry of Health to meet the 4 vendors and negotiate with possibilities of reviving the equipment and look into the transition from the medical scheme. Stephen Leto, Citizen TV.
All right. So that is happening. That we have we have challenges with equipment. Imagine that. Madaktari ndio wameenda home, NHIF haifanyi, sasa ndio hiyo equipment. So mwananchi mwananchi mwenyewe, imagine this. Not that I'm just casting doom and sad things about our country, but that's the reality. It's the sad, bitter truth. You know, it's one thing to praise, but it's another thing to really point out the truth. That's the truth. That our doctors are downing their tools by 12 midnight. That is those in Embu. Clinical officers, they gave the ultimatum some days back. CBC teachers walishaanza kusema watagoma. So mwananchi, really, how do you make of this government? As much as they're complaining about the judges and all, but hizi zenye haziko kotini, what are they doing about it? Sio nyumba tu tunahitaji. We also need our kids to be in school, not just houses, you know. We're building these houses so that learned people can join and enter these houses. We are building these houses so that equally healthy people can join these houses. So imagine if we lose our population simply because we didn't make right choices. Now, the president really brags of the plan, the manifesto. He says that is what he's using. Before we talk of manifesto and all, long-term futuristic developments, what of today? Today and now. All right? What of today and now? We have talked of education, we have talked of health. My last subject will be the economy. Now, this is a very deep subject and it has very different outlooks, how you look at it. But where is it? Is our economy doing well? With all those things I've raised, are we doing well as an economy? I want to begin with the state of our shilling. Is our shilling doing well vis-a-vis other currency? Of course, at times we compare that using the dollar. Is our shilling doing well? I have a problem with people joining because I see there is a challenge kwa Facebook ambayo ina interfere na other destinations. I'll work on that because I'm getting people are ready to join, but unfortunately they can't because of Facebook. I think kuna challenge, just like Friday. I thought we had sorted that out. I'll see what could be the issue again. But let's look at our economy. Now we begin with the shilling, the status of our shilling. Is the shilling doing well? Is the shilling doing well? Wakati Ruto aliingia, we were not this high. It wasn't this high. It was 120 something there about 120 something. But now we are headed to 160, and there's no clear hope kama itashuka. All right. So let's listen into this. That this Kidogo, PK had tried to raise some interest rate, of course, to help caution our shilling and to see if it will appreciate and everything. But despite all that, our shilling has depreciated again. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's listen into this, even as I try to see what could be the problem up at studio.
And in other news, the Kenya shilling has depreciated faster despite the Central Bank of Kenya raising interest rates last month to counter weakness in the local currency. The shilling's depreciation against the US dollar has, for instance, quickened to a mean of 0.16% or 16 cents per day since the tightening of monetary policy on December 5th, from an average daily change of 0.069% in the month preceding the interest rate increase. Now, the faster depreciation of the shilling has raised questions about the successes of monetary policy tightening as a countermeasure to foreign exchange weakness, and further puts the prospects of an additional interest rate hike on the table during CBK's next policy sitting, which is next month. Since implementing the high rate increase in December 2023, the Kenyan shilling has depreciated against the US dollar to change hands at 158 shillings and 30 cents on Friday, from 153 shillings and 28 cents on December 5th. Analysts are of the opinion that rate increase has likely borne to effect with the policy call having come in late in the unit's depreciation cycle.
All right. So that's the shilling. The shilling imeshuka um compared to other shillings or other currency. Kenya shilling is not doing well. It's not doing well. So what allow me to ask this. I'll be bold enough to ask this question. So what is working in this government? What is working? Please tell me from where you are. I don't even want to go so much into the economy because it's a whole dynamic topic altogether. What is working? Health sector ndio hiyo, education ndio hiyo, you know. What sector is working? Agriculture ndio mtatuambia, maybe maybe, but can agriculture work alone? If we subsidize fertilizer alone, is it an all-solving thing? Is that card alone solving the agriculture question? Is that alone the solver of everything? Ladies and gentlemen, what do you make of all this? What do you make of all this? I need to do something that I must do, but I have to do it after ending this show. Then I might start another one. Why? Because there is a challenge at my server. Hii si ile server ya election. Hii ni server ya hii show. So I have to work on it now and see what could be the challenge. And then I'll start another one now with my panelist. All right. So this one becomes my show or my talk and my discussion, but I'll start another one after this one with panelists to discuss all that I've raised, right? So that I work on the server and make sure that everything is right. I thought we had solved it, but I think kuna kitu kiasi we ought to do. But ladies and gentlemen, with that, allow me to end the show there so that I can really have the panelists. They are really hapa nje naona comments na nikimbisha tu mbio wakinitafuta. So I'll find a way of getting to them. But as I leave you, I wish to ask you this. What is working? Is there hope? Are your dreams still intact? You know, a government should inspire. A government should be truthful. It's okay you cannot perform. It's okay. I think it's high time Kenyans are coming to terms with that you cannot perform as a person. You cannot. But please don't give hope. You know, we would rather be surprised by you delivering. You know, we would rather be surprised by you performing. But don't give us hope, because if that one is lost, what happens to this country? What happens to our population? If a mother can cry, literally shed tears, seeking for help, and the government seems to be mum and shut, not seeming to, hear and listen to the cries of its citizen. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what is working, but I know something must be working, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe. Of course, we are not where we thought we would be. The hopes and aspirations of many parents is not what they thought. We elect governments thinking that it will be better than the previous regime. We bring people to power expecting that our country will be good. We bring many to power so that our nation can move forward, not backwards. We bring people to power so that we can progress, not retrograde. We bring people to power so that we can see success stories everywhere, almost in all sectors, not failure after failure after failure. Someone who gives excuse after excuse after excuse, I think, is someone who ought not to complain when people tell the person, you are not a performer. You can be good at performing verbally, and that's what maybe we might conclude. That's probably we might be having a president who performs verbally. Kwa verbal, kwa wordings, kwa kusema. Very good. Next week, CDF itakuwa. Next week inafika. The good thing about time, if you say tomorrow, tomorrow will come. If you say next week, finally next week will be there. But the problem is, if what you said didn't happen, many who had hopes in what you said, their hope will be squashed. Their dreams will be shattered. And their Kenyan dreams will be broken. Mr. President, I really pray that soon and very soon you will bring inspiration to our country in all sectors, because all sectors have been affected. All sectors have been affected. And we really pray that very soon, as much as we are not really putting our hopes up, because if last year the days gone are anything to go by, there's nothing much we can wait from this regime. Might take, maybe it comes, but if it doesn't, well and good. We have to go on as a country, but we pray to God that at least the next regime will be kind, because this one, that's my take, that's my kicker, and that's my show. See you in the next one in just about now. This is Africa 24.